This is part 2 of our phone grip project, and today we are going to add on the rhinestone banding. So I've got my rhinestone banding. I beaded 3 rows around my skull cabochon, and I have got 2 lengths of thread, and I have arm lengths, of thread, and I have knotted the end. Again, it's one single thread and with a little tail. So to get started, we are going to tack the rhinestone banding right next to our last row of beads. So I'm just going to line it up, going to find the beginning, and you'll notice that between each rhinestone there's thread. I'll show you the back. So there's a gap between each one, and that's where we're going to be tacking it. And because it's plastic, we have to tack every single gap. If it's the metal banding, which I'll show you at the end, you can tack every other. So I'm just going to come up in between those two. So I've come up the middle, and I'm going in. This is important. I want you to go in towards the beads as close as you can, because you're going to be cutting this out afterwards. And if you go the other direction outwards, you're at risk of cutting your thread and making all your work come undone. So there, I've got the first one tacked. I'm going to come up again through the next rhinestone, and I'm going to tack it in close to the beads. And it seems a little bit loose at first, but as you go it will stay in place better as you go. Sometimes it's hard to find that spot. There we go. And we're going to go all the way around our cabochon. So this is our last step on the phone grip project before we add the backing. So what you'll need for the backing is either some vinyl, or I like to use cork. It's like a cork fabric. Sometimes you can even find that at the Dollarama. I also have found vinyl at the Dollarama. I found some really cute mermaid style vinyl there with like a rainbow background. I have seen animal print vinyl there. So if you go in the craft section and have a look there, you might find some sheets of different types of backing that you can use on your work. If you want to keep your costs low and you're just practicing, it's a nice little cheap way to put backing on your projects. And with this phone grip, you're not going to see that backing because you're going to be gluing the backing to the phone grip, so it's not even going to be visible. But if you're making earrings, you want to have something nice to be able to see on the back part of your earrings. So you're going to need the vinyl backing, and you're going to need some glue. And I used E6000 to glue my cabochon on, and I recommend that you use E6000 to glue your phone grip to the backing when you're done. It's a good glue for crafting. I don't recommend hot glue. You could use an epoxy glue, that would work. That can get messy because you have to mix the two sides, but it holds really well. As you can see, I'm turning these the rhinestones so that they are facing up as I go. The plastic banding sometimes has a mind of its own, and it twists and turns. And this is a really quick, this is the quickest step probably you're going to have in this process. And it has really like a big impact on your work. The banding is sparkly and pretty, and it comes in many colors. I have like a bag of banding of all different colors, so usually I can find something to go with my work. So today I chose this gray color just to keep it neutral. But you could pick a really bright color, or the metal banding is nice too. It's less color, it's more bling, and you have a little bit of metal in it. Has a slightly different look to it. Okay, so I'm almost finished here. So at the end you will have the two ends that will not meet. Some people glue the last two bits to the pellin. I don't bother. I just tack it a couple times back and forth so that they kind of marry. But when you put your edging on, it tends to pull it all together anyway, so I don't worry too much about gluing that little last rhinestone to the pellin. I just tack it down and leave it. I will show you how to cut it out, and then that will be our last step for this video. Keep it short and sweet. So when we bead on our edge, we're going to be using the rhinestone banding as a guide for our edging. And we're going to do our edging, the backing and our edging in our next video. Okay, so you can see there that I have too much banding, so I'm going to cut it now right where those two last meet, those two rhinestones. So I'm just going to give it a snip with the scissors. Cuts very easily. Get that out of the way. And just going to hold it in there and do the last couple of stitches. So make sure it's pushed in against there really close. And you can see there's a little gap there. So what I do is I go over to the very first one, down, and then I'm going to come back up again. It just kind of pulls it together when you go back to the first one and then back again to the last rhinestone. And we're going to do our little trusty little knot. There we go. And there's our banding. I'm going to flip it over. And as you can see, I did use white thread. The white thread around the banding shows up less, so you don't see your threads. I used the black thread because I was using red beads, and I find that black thread, when you're using dark beads, the black thread is nicer because it doesn't show up as much. Okay, and give it a little snip. And there we have our banding on our cabochon. All right, so the next step is just to cut it out. So you want to go close to the edge and just give it a little snip all the way around. If you go too close, you're going to cut your thread, so just stay to the edge of the rhinestone. Because you went in towards the beads, there should be no thread around there. And now we have a cabochon ready to be backed and edged. Thanks for watching.